Reclaimed is the podcast about the woman's journey of reclaiming her power through somatic work, breath work, plant medicine, and conversations. I am Kyla Gagnon, and this is Reclaimed. Hello, my sweet friend. Welcome back to the podcast. I have one of my favorite humans with me today. My girlfriend Ellie is here, and this episode epitomizes what I wanted for this podcast. It's two women having a raw, vulnerable, fun, playful conversation. And we talk about everything. We talk about self-pleasure, we talk about color, we talk about makeup, we talk about patriarchy, we talk about systems, we talk about brainwashing, we talk about like all the things. And it's perfect and I love it. And I didn't edit anything. So the intro is funny and just exactly how most conversations go with Ellie and I. So I thought, you know what? Let's just be real. There's too many people trying to be perfect. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. It's not what we're here for. We're here to be human, to have fun, to be playful, to be silly, and to let life just be life. So here we are. Ellie is a priestess and host of the Attuned to Your Alchemy podcast. Her work consists of leading women who want to reconnect with their sensuality, their eroticism, and divine feminine through ceremony and through sacred arts. She's a human design projector and wow, my words. And she uses her insight and intuition to coach women through transitional periods in their lives and is passionate about creating opportunities for adding more pleasure. I just cannot wait. If you have not met Ellie yet, sit back, enjoy. Right in and have a good fucking time.
Do you know what you want me to talk about?
No.
I was just like, NA. We'll figure this out.
Let's talk about math and the government. No, we'll talk about we won't talk about math, but we might talk about the government. No, we'll talk about, sacred feminine shit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Here for it.
Okay, let's start. Officially.
Let's begin.
Hello, Ellie.
Hi.
My dear.
Beloved.
How are you?
I'm hilarious today, apparently. I'm just having the time of my life.
This is so good.
Yeah.
What else is there to do really on a Wednesday,
It's true.
Other than that.
Yeah. Soak in the sun.
Oh, you have sun. Well, we have sun.
Just I feel like the rays right now, I am hungry for them.
Mm-hmm.
Really, that's the part of my life that I'm in right now. I'm hungry for sun rays.
Like a wolf? Are you hungry quite like a wolf?
Yes. Most definitely.
Yeah. Oh, God. Can I ask you a question?
Please.
What are you currently reclaiming?
Oh, you know what I'm currently reclaiming? Actually, my own personal sensuality.
Oh.
And let me take you on a little journey back for a moment. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I used to work for MAC Cosmetics as a makeup artist many years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved it. And I feel like I've gone through my life. I was just talking to somebody about a past job that I had as well. And they said, I didn't know you worked for this company. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how I started to work for them actually, because I was grossly underqualified. When I came into MAC Cosmetics, I felt like I was grossly underqualified, but I loved makeup so much. Literally, I would get my paycheck and I would walk across. I lived in Ottawa, Ontario. I would walk across the market, because I worked in the market, to like the MAC shop that I loved all of the MAC gals at, and would choose like through all of the eyeshadows, just like choose things. It was such a process in devoting myself to color and vibrancy and making myself up. And I think that so often makeup is seen as something that we're covering ourselves, or we have this terminology of like cakey makeup, like we're masking ourselves up. And makeup for me has always been this expression of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I share like a nail. Right now I've got some snake.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And so I've always like really enjoyed this concept of adorning myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I then went through a 12-year relationship. So I worked at MAC Cosmetics, absolutely loved it, would do it again, maybe, sort of, kind of, not really. They took care of me while I was there, let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was a makeup artist for Queer TV here in Vancouver for a couple of years.
I did not know this.
What didn't I do?
Oh my
Besides
God.
sell dirty socks, as we were talking about before.
Yes.
I have yet to do that. But you know what? Anybody listening, if they need some dirty socks, you call me. I will arrange something for you. So yeah, I worked for Queer TV. Out TV is what it was called, and I worked on some productions, like theater productions and whatnot as well, that I just really loved, and a ton of weddings, a ton of queer weddings here in Vancouver. It was so good. And then I went off into this journey that stripped myself of adorning myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of kind of did this in the way of like, I really love aroma and scents and anointing. And so I've used essential oils for a really long time, but I stopped wearing makeup for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's been something that's been reignited in me, this reclamation of sensuality in the expression of what I wear and how I really anoint myself and adorn myself. And so right now I'm really into finding like excellent pieces of jewelry. I'm really into finding the lip color that is exactly what I want for that day. And you know, MAC Cosmetics, they do their job well, and they have, you know, the names. Like one of my favorite eyeshadows right now is called Rose Before Bros.
Oh, stop.
You
That's so
know,
good.
yeah, like
A
what
moment for that.
what more do I need here?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really reclaiming this expression of sensuality, and that it's, you know, I think really when it comes down to it, it's this expression and permission that we have to give ourselves. Like, I work from home.
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, for the majority of my day, don't have to leave my house unless I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anybody except for online, you know? And still there's this real desire, because it's not for anybody else. It's for me. And I you know, choose pieces from my closet. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I feel like today. I had something else on earlier today, and I was like, no, we're taking this off. Something new is happening here. A new embodiment has come in. This is what we're doing now. And
I
so
love this.
I really love this expression of who we are through what we look like.
Mm-hmm. I really relate to that. It's been in the last, honestly, like, okay, here's what happened. Cam went to Florida for a week to Tony Robbins, which left Kyla alone with Netflix. And when Cam is home, we're watching Formula One, Drive to Survive.
Okay.
And so, which is bizarrely addicting and great and entertaining. And so we'll watch like maybe a couple episodes a week. We don't watch a lot of TV. But when Cam's gone and Kyla has the Netflix to herself, she goes full binge mode. So obviously Love is Blind UK went down, and Next in Fashion, which I hadn't even started watching yet.
I don't know Next in Fashion. I've never watched a Love is Blind.
What?
But also #queer.
That's fair. Okay. You don't have to watch Love is Blind, but you must watch Next in Fashion.
Okay.
You know, do you watch Queer Eye?
Yep.
Tan?
Love.
He's the host.
Oh, okay.
So it's an immediate yes. Okay. So there's only 2 seasons. I started with the second season and was like, well, this is fantastic. So then I binged the first season again. I used to be so obsessed with fashion when I was young, so obsessed. And that obsession stayed pretty solid, but it started to shift when I had to buy my own clothes. Not only when I had to buy my own clothes, mostly when I had to pay my own rent and like all of those things that your love affair dwindles, but it still lives in me. And so this has re-sparked my real love of fashion and style and makeup. And I don't wear a lot of makeup. And for a long time, I've really celebrated that and been really grateful that I feel confident enough without it, because I think there's this story, and you already spoke to
Mm-hmm.
it, that, makeup is a cover up of what you maybe don't love, which is only one story. But I always have so much fun when my makeup gets done. And so I've recently bought, I don't have it in here. I don't know. I'm looking for it. It's by Merit, and it's a blush and a lip
Oh.
combo. And it is bright red. And I am obsessed. I'm obsessed. So now, not only am I like, oh, I think I might become a fashion designer, but I also have been now like watching YouTube videos on how to do my makeup, because I've never really
Mm.
learned. And I'm so excited about all of it.
I'll teach you how to do your makeup.
Okay,
That was
yeah,
one of
let's
my
have it.
favorite parts of working at Mac was coming in and doing the teachings. People would hire us to teach them how to do things.
Okay, let's have a date.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having a conversation with a client of mine, and she's, how old is she? I think she's in her early 60s. She might be late 50s, early 60s. And we were just talking about this last week about perceiving ourselves as beautiful and what that looks like and what goes into that. And am I only beautiful if I'm done up and I'm wearing a dress
Mm-hmm.
and I have my makeup done? And she, anyways, we don't need to go into that whole session. But one of the pieces that became really clear is that there was this elevation of energy that she had and confidence she had when she did have some makeup on, and it could literally just be a lip.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
It could just be a lip. And she, retired, doesn't work, gardens, spends time on the boat, spends time in nature. And she's like, I'm just in the garden. I don't need to. I was like, no, you don't need to. But if you want to, you get to. And so we were having this really fun, playful conversation about what it is to have the ability to play with these things. And if it feels good, do it. And if you work from home, I think it's almost even more important, because we can get, I'm in Lulu's right now in a white t-shirt, but I have a blingy necklace on, and my makeup is done, and you feel different.
Mm-hmm.
There's an up level. You feel different. And so for no other reason than to feel good and to feel powerful and to feel beautiful and to feel sexy, do it. Even if nobody sees you in a day, you see you. And that's the most important thing. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, and I see it. I mean, you always look so fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to speak to something that you said, and I think that this is what we're doing as walking as embodiments of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we're actually taking our power back, especially as women. Like, one of the things, like, you opened a can of worms, I'm diving head first
That's
into.
why I do it.
Yeah. One thing that we do as women is that we have just been taught for, like, think about the common vernacular that we hear amongst women and amongst society around women who are done up. Like, oh, what is she asking for? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking for? To feel like myself.
Mm-hmm.
To
Yeah.
feel like my insides match my outsides.
Right.
And we don't realize that really, like, tears us down. That
Mm-hmm.
really tears us down. And I was thinking, that one of the reasons why I didn't, like, I spent this 12-year period not being who I wanted to be on the outside as I was on the inside. Well, there was some, like, I was, reevaluating who I was. I was just in discovery. I was in all of those things. But I also had a partner who really encouraged me not to.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't provide the space for me to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we gotta go. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
go. We're gonna be
Right.
late. Oh, how long are you gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, we have generational trauma of, her wearing lipstick at one point for her, around her father, and her father telling her she looked better without it.
Oh,
You
okay.
know? And this
Mm-hmm.
is just like, this just trickles down within us. And so we have all of this around us, these stories that are either telling us we have to be super made up, or we have to wear higher heels, or we have to, I am also wearing Lulu's. I'm wearing a dress, Lulu's, and slippers. The most comfy, like, lamb skin something or other slippers, you know? Because this is what makes me feel good. And we look to the rest of society to tell us what we need. I also adore fashion and have always. And when I was going to buy them, I was selecting my colors from MAC. I was a manager of a clothing shop, and that was like one of the fashion clothing shops in Ottawa at that time, and going over to MAC. And so the gals at MAC always came over, and they were always looking, because you can only wear black or you can wear a hint of white.
Right.
They were always coming over to see what was, black. And whenever we did buying, I was looking for black, or, pieces so that they could wear them.
Mm-hmm.
We're told, even in that, like, how to be. Mm-hmm. Always how to be. And when we take that back and say, I'm going to garden, one of the first little inklings of reclamation for me was a friend of mine went and got her lashes lifted, like tinted and lifted. And I was like, what did you do? And she told me about it, and I started going to get my lashes tinted. Now, I love that process of even just the beautifying of ourselves. And as women, we don't allow for ourselves to have that time often to do that, or we're looking for the quickest or the most expressive. I love a caterpillar lash. The lashes.
Yes.
I love. At one point, MAC even put out a feather, like literally a feather. Yeah. And I probably bought every single one of those feathers in just like a drag queen. But actually, there's no drag. It's just me.
Just a queen.
Just a queen, okay? And so, I love that. I love the expression of like pushing the envelope of what is acceptable in society in that way. Mm-hmm. And I love just doing this for myself. Mm-hmm. And that is, I think, one of the most rebellious things that we can do is give a big old middle finger to everybody else and what they say, and do it exactly how you want to do it.
Yeah. Yes. And that, I mean, at the time of this coming out, it's going to be actually October, but we're recording at the end of August. And I just have been hammering my social media with what, in my mind and heart, what it means as a woman to reclaim her power. And all of this is that. It's like, first and foremost, separating everyone else's shit and what is actually true for you. And that's a really layered process. Mm-hmm. It's a really layered process. And actually, it's interesting we're talking about this, because this might even be the best place for someone to start if the deeper work feels a little bit too much to like go into old family stories. What if you just bought the shirt that you have been wanting to, but have been a little bit nervous about, or wearing the lipstick, or getting your makeup done? Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about femininity. We're talking about divine feminine. We're talking about goddess. I want to share with you, there's a link in the show notes. It's a free download for what I believe and how I teach goddess energy, and how it's the perfect combination of masculine energy and feminine energy. And so I've put together this hour-long podcast just for you to go into the differences between masculine and feminine, to also dive into how and where we might be showing up in our wounded feminine, our wounded masculine, and how we can cultivate a healed combination to really land in our goddess. Link is in the show notes. It's free.
Yeah, like, who's telling you that?
Right.
Whose voice is inside your head? I said to somebody the other day, like, I still hear my former partner's voice inside my head, which is actually her mother's voice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how's that for generational trauma? Mm-hmm. Like, that just skipped like bloodline. Mm-hmm. And to recognize, and I could be living with that for many more years than I already have.
Yeah.
And to be able to recognize that and put an end to that, and to say, oh, actually, this is who made up that rule. Mm-hmm. I remember her mother told us she couldn't wear yellow. She was Korean. What? Yeah, she couldn't wear yellow. And I was like, you look excellent in yellow. I'm also super into color theory right now. Like so into color theory and like finding the correct colors in quotations
Oh,
and then saying, screw you, I'll do what I want.
I don't even know. What's color theory?
Oh my God. Everybody gather around. Okay.
Do I need a pen and paper?
Color theory. No, I'll send you
Okay.
an
Okay. Okay.
app. Color theory is this. Actually, my mother told me that they used to do, and we need to again. They used to do parties like Avon parties, but it was this woman who was a color consultant, and she lays all of these pieces of color on you, or whites on you. You know how white can be like a blue white, or it can be a pink white. It can be all of these things. And so she kind of like lays these fabric pieces on you and flashes different colors to see how your face and your skin tone change.
Oh.
And then so you're either like a fall or an autumn. There's 3 different categories: true, I think, deep, and maybe light. I'm getting that. There's different terms for them, but it's all the same concept. So
Okay.
fall or autumn, winter, spring, summer. And then depending on what you are, when you wear colors that are your colors, then you automatically, doesn't matter what you're wearing, are enhanced because you're wearing colors that really complement you and your skin. Isn't this amazing?
This is brilliant.
Now, I was literally talking to a friend of mine who is also into color theory and is thinking about becoming somebody who is a consultant. And she said that she used this in her house.
Oh, to design her house.
To
Wow.
design her house. And then she showed me her house, which is exquisite. Her meditation / spiritual room, from floor to ceiling is pink. Like is dusty rose. The ceiling, everything it's exquisite. Literally,
Wow.
hi Moira, if you're listening to this, it's exquisite. And then through the miracles of social media, Instagram has been sending me this company in the States. I think they're called something like Tonology. I don't remember what they're called. Anyways, it's a paint company that mixes a little out of the box paints, and they did a black orange.
What?
Yes. And a black pink and a black blue and a black green. Like they've just got, and the black orange was the first one that was suggested to me. And I literally was like, I can taste this color.
Oh my God.
It tastes like the most exquisite chocolate I've ever eaten.
Oh my God.
It's so I had sent it back and forth, and I said, I don't think I've ever been so turned on by color. Like literally my nipples are hard right now thinking about the pink black. Like,
Yeah.
my heart.
I'm feeling something and I haven't even seen these colors.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Okay.
So so for anybody who's listening, if you're interested, and especially if this is coming out around Samhain and such, or Halloween and such,
Yeah.
then you may also want to know about the black orange color.
Oh
just come
my
to
God.
my house. That's going to be in my room.
Wow.
I'll send you the Instagram handle so that you know exactly what we're talking
about. Can you order to Canada?
Sure can.
Oh my God.
Sure can.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is exciting. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about, never before, and this is also, I think, part of this is that, you find that perfect, like, speaking of lipstick, you find that perfect lipstick color, and you're, like, feeling yourself. Well, most, probably, it is a color that is actually within your color palette.
Right.
That is for you.
I'm just thinking, like, you have your house painted in colors that are for you. Let's talk about how your relationship benefits if you're in relationship. Let's talk about how your sleep evolves, your work, everything. Wow.
Yes. Like how much more embodied you feel. Because we have an attraction to different colors, but I think like her house, her kitchen and living room and dining room are all sort of like one big space, and the color is like this deep, rich, velvety royal blue. Like the chairs. I
knew you were gonna say it.
And it's so good. And how like I walked into the picture, I saw the picture, and I thought to myself, like, I can imagine coming into this room and like literally gasping, like, oh, it's so good in here.
Wow.
Yeah. Color. Color theory.
I love this. Okay, noted. Color theory. Not where I thought this conversation was going to go, but I'm really glad that it did.
Right.
Really glad that it did.
Out of the box, like we were talking about kinks before and smelly socks and shoes. Here are a list of like average everyday things that are so much of a turn on that unless you notice them, unless you turn your attention to them, you have no idea. Starting at the top, color. Next, material. Like I went through my closet a couple of years ago, and anything that was a material that like made me stink, like made my armpits just like not pleasant. And I love a stinky armpit. Okay, people.
It's her kink.
Anything that didn't feel good on my skin, out. Anything that didn't like wasn't quite fitting. Like we have as women, we have like things in our closet that still have the tag on them. For what? For when?
For that special occasion.
Yeah, make the special occasion.
Right. It's a Tuesday. No? It's any day.
Yeah. Like you're looking to go out on a date. Awesome. Plan the date. Plan that nice dinner that you're going to get to wear that too, you know?
Yeah.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Well, life is so short and fashion is so fleeting. So if you've got something in your closet and you're waiting to wear it, now is the time.
Yeah, it's true.
I love this. I feel as though, where are we for time? What time do you need to get out of here?
About 2:47.
Okay. Noted. I will watch the clock.
Between then and 2:52.
Depends on traffic, but okay. We'll get you out of here at 2:45, just to be safe. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, first of all, actually, for those who don't yet know you, now that we're like halfway through the conversation, for those humans who don't yet know Ellie, the absolute goddess that she is, a little bit about what you do, your passion, your mission, but how in the hell did you get there from working at a cosmetic store?
Yeah, I feel like actually the cosmetic store is not a very big jump, but like working for a global company called Wikimedia might have been a little bit more of a jump, which is, and the federal government in there. Okay, so, and being a yoga teacher for many years. Okay, yeah, there's a few hops around that I made. So currently I'm walking the path to ordination as a priestess and with the 13 Moon Mystery School. And for anybody that doesn't know what that means, it's literally studying the sacred feminine arts. And I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And this path has really led me down a winding road before I got here, because there was so many things that I learned about what it is that I do. Like, this is the thing, like, you know, maybe you are, you know, I worked for the feds. Sure, civil servant, Canadian government, you know, very, a dime a dozen. Everybody's doing it. And yet there was moments in time, I remember, actually, I also worked for the provincial government, and the very first day I showed up at mental health, I was working on site from the mental institution, if you will, Riverview in BC, which was a premier institution. And they, speaking of exquisiteness, brought this gardener over from the UK that just made the grounds absolutely incredible and put plants and trees on the grounds that were so unique. And anyways, it was a very fascinating place to work. But the very first day I worked in the president's office there, and this was like the second of the now maybe third time that they've closed this place down. I walked in with hunter rubber boots on, and I forgot my office shoes at home. And the assistant to the president came up to me and said, like, we work in the president's office. And I was like, girl, you have no idea the shoe collection I have at home. I just literally forgot it on day one. And so the next day I came to work in bubblegum pink heels and clip-clopped my way around that office for a couple of years, you know? I'll show you. So kind of everything that I have done in some capacity has been this surrounding of how can I express myself in a way that is still within your, the confinements of the job,
Mm-hmm.
but yet gives me the expression that I need. Even I was thinking when I worked for the federal government, I also clip-clopped around in my little, the flavor of the week that I had at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, tender tootsies sounds like your grandma would wear them, and she does, because they're at Sally Ann all the time, barely used. But they're an excellent high heel.
Tender tushies.
Tender tootsies.
Tootsies.
Yeah, just your little tootsies,
This is so good.
Yeah. And then I was a yoga teacher still. I mean, does it ever go out of you?
No.
For about 12, 14 years. I owned a studio, and we're still on this winding path of bringing people together. And I used to teach a Sunday morning class, and as I was in that moment in time, as somebody who really still to this day identifies with my punk roots, if you will, I like roll my eyes at it, but still I'm like, I'll throw down any second now, okay? And this one gal, so I was very far away because the church and state do not belong in punk roots.
Mm-hmm.
This one woman would come to my class on Sunday mornings, and she's like, this is better than going to church.
Mm-hmm.
And I jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, called it church instead on the schedule from there on in.
I love that.
Come with reverence to devote yourself to yourself on the mat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we continue on this winding road. I've taught workshops, and just like workshops where women could come together and like literally let their hair down for a moment in time. And, our beloved BC, Danielle Laporte, had a certification at one point that I took, and I taught desire map workshops and continued on this winding road until I started doing priestess work, like flat out priestess work, by accident, because I was asked to work in this workshop, teach in this workshop that this priestess was doing. And I thought to myself, I'm not sure I fit here. This is the whole bit up until about 18 months ago. I don't think I fit here. I am underqualified for everything that I'm doing right now. But I'm going to carve out my little space for myself, like maybe behind the veil, if you will. And I'm going to just stay as close as possible, but far enough away that no one will find me out.
Right.
No one will really know that I'm underqualified for this.
Mm-hmm.
Still clopping around in my heel. Actually, at this point, I'm pretty much always barefoot. Clopping around with my own flat feet. And so I just had this moment where I realized, like, this is so important. You know what? I went to this, there was, I think, only one talk that Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach did in Toronto, Ontario. And a friend of mine asked me to go with her. And I looked at her, because if you have never experienced Glennon and Abby together, like even on their social media, there's something magic about the way that they treat each other, but there's something even more magical about their love. Mm-hmm. And that love oozes out. Like, I feel the love whenever I watch their social media. And this talk, this event and concert, because they had people playing that they decided that they wanted to take with them, for this evening, I looked at my friend and I said, I'm going to do this. Ooh. I'm going to bring women together and have them remember who they are. Mm-hmm. And that was a pivotal point to me, because essentially working with the 13 Moon Mystery School is all about remembrance and remembering who we are and having these experiences where we get to realize that, oh, I have been here before. Mm-hmm. So I currently host programs, and I do coaching and retreats for women to have these experiences with sensuality, with sexuality, and really getting to know their archetypes of like the primal goddess and the goddess of love. And another one that plays a big role in my life is the great mother, because there's so much mothering that we need to be able to do for ourselves for it to be okay for us to express ourselves in the way that we really want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
So we just sort of like traveled and meandered and ended up here in the I was thinking about along the way the very first time I told somebody I was at my nail salon, and somebody said to me, "What do you do?" And I just was like, "I'm a witch." And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Oh, okay." I asked my nail gal if she ever came back, and she said no, but that probably wasn't because of me.
No, that wasn't because of you.
But just how we be in, come into who we are. I was visiting my mom last month, and she was chatting with some of her friends. It was her birthday. We were celebrating her. And she said, "Well, my daughter's a witch." Yeah. "Ellie, why don't you tell them what you do?" Because she's still not quite sure.
Yeah.
But she understands that like it's not the average vocation, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for those who are like, yeah, what is a priestess? Like, what does that even mean? How do you explain that?
How do I explain that? How don't you explain that? Come close.
I'm here.
Yeah, here I am. What is a priestess? Okay, so what I usually say is that I create transitional ceremonies for women to remember who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? Like as I taught yoga, I always said to my students, like, who cares? Like, who cares? Why does this matter? Why are we doing what we're doing? Because if it doesn't matter, why are we doing it? Like, we could have fill our time with so many other things. So who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Why is it important for women to remember who they are? Well, if we come back to the beginning of this conversation, this whole bit around we are stripped, like we are bare
Mm-hmm.
from our feminine energy. We are bare from our gifts and talents and the way that we heal. And we have been brainwashed into forgetting that we are actually really incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so these transitional ceremonies are an opportunity for women to come together and understand themselves better.
Mm-hmm.
And I work specifically with archetypes, and there's 13 archetypes in our school that all kind of we get to see ourselves in those archetypes, from things like the Great Mother to the Goddess of Love and this whole sensuality bit to
Mm-hmm.
like the Queen of Death. And
Mm-hmm.
what do we need to let go of? And the Initiator, what are we cutting away? And the
Mm-hmm.
Muse, how are we finding joy and playfulness in our lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And we get to embody all of those things, and we've really forgotten.
Yeah.
We've really forgotten.
Yeah. If I think to what, the majority, if I look at society, women are playing like the boss, right? They're getting shit done. They're working. Kudos. But they get stuck in that role of the boss, the mother, and I will say in an unhealthy way.
Mhm.
They're mothering their men, they're mothering their friends, they're mothering everything. And mothering is actually an incredibly masculine practice. The act of mothering. Do this, da, 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 da. Brush your teeth, pack your bags. And then there's and I don't know what this archetype is, but the one I maybe made it a little bit of like almost playing how would I want to word that? The more free spirit, I guess. The more free spirit, the more dreamy, the one who hasn't quite landed in a solid place yet. But there's so many missing in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have
There's,
the archetypes of mother, maiden, crone, and the thing to think about is that we also have shadow side of
of
the
course.
type.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
mother, the archetype of mother, and if we think about mother in her true form, like the great mother, she's actually not in a role of do this, do that.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
micromanager.
Hmm.
That's the masculine.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
not up to the masculine individual. It's a masculine quality of action, action, action.
Hmm.
But the mothering is really this like all encompassing great love.
Hmm.
The one of the mantras for the great mother is that there's nothing that you can do to make me love you, but there's nothing that you can't do
Hmm.
that will make me love you any
Hmm.
less.
Hmm.
So what is it here that we have for ourselves where the mother role that we see in today's society is that it's a go go go, it's a manage, it's a put your kid in every sport. I
Hmm.
think one of the things that mothers, I want to say, overlook when it comes to rearing their children is that they think that, putting them in a whole bunch of sports is going to give them like a moment to breathe. But actually, it creates more work for themselves because they've got to get them here, there,
Hmm.
a meal into them, sport equipment
Yeah.
or dance recital, all of these things. And it makes us feel important because we have a mission. And actually, the role of the mother is to literally let your child be, to give them that parameter,
Hmm.
to give them that love, to give them that recognition, and to lean back so that they can lean into you.
Hmm.
And we've taken this from like, if we're not doing it, like the shadow side of thing is like devouring the child. Like if they're not living up to our expectation, if they're not doing everything that we didn't do, if they're not getting A's in school, I mean, we can insert talk about the government here and unschooling, for example. Pause people and then unpause in about 3 minutes now. you know and schooling, we also think that schooling is this. I am going to go deep into this just for a half a sec though.
It's fine.
um, we think that schooling is the answer because finally we get a breath. Why do you need a breath? We
Mm-hmm.
need a breath because we've been brainwashed that mothering has to be done alone, and we've been pitted against each other because we think like, oh well, that mom over there. I love the Instagram accounts that are like, okay, there's this one woman that's like, I'm going to milk she milks her dog. She pretends to milk a dog, like organic milk that is straight from the dog at home. And then she goes over to this fake olive tree and she picks out fruits from the olive tree, like an apple and then a banana, like homemade. My kids wanted gummies, and so I made gummies from scratch. I'm like, I am a homesteader. Like I love a scratch everything, and the pressure that we put on ourselves to perform everything,
Mm-hmm.
perform it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is another part of brainwashing when it comes to who we are in society, because if we're kept separately, this is the thing. Women together especially are so incredibly powerful. The reason I love ceremony and am so passionate about temple and ceremony as the experience is the vehicle in which that transition for women can happen
Mm-hmm.
is because there is quantum leaps that can happen, and that happens in group.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't
Yeah.
happen alone.
Yeah.
You can create as a longtime solo witch, you can create a ceremony by yourself, but there is power in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And when we wake up to our power, that is like, that's whenever the world can change.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good. I feel like we were talking earlier about doing just like candid girlfriend chats, and I actually want the first one to be about all of the brainwashing. I want to
Mm.
just go into the list of where we've been misled, guided with a delicious candy to get in the van that we shouldn't be getting
Mm.
into,
Mm-hmm. And then told we shouldn't like candy.
and then told we shouldn't like candy. But then when we do something good, we're celebrated and honored by
Here's a little
getting
piece of candy.
sugar and some candy.
Yeah, you did a really great job. Here's some
Yeah.
Smarties.
Are we confusing you yet? Good. And again, it's that like the more confused someone is, the less connected to their own power they are.
Ah.
Oh, it's all so twisted.
It's all so twisted. I'm like really feeling called because this is like we're gonna have to start thinking about this. I'm really feeling called to talk about surveillance culture just for a half a second,
Oh, yeah.
especially because women are we're just like under the microscope constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But hear me out, people. Have your fun. I, as a witch, I am constantly like engaging with things that you can't see. Okay? So there is nothing about what I'm going to say that there is any shame in something that you can't see. I love the magic of a holiday. I always say, Halloween is one of my favorite things because it is the very first taste that you have about uh, entrepreneur, of being an entrepreneur as a child. Because you come home and you like first you put on an outfit, you put on a uniform.
Mm-hmm.
This is surveillance. This is like we're just teaching you how to be. The Industrial Revolution is so in our face, and yet we don't see it. That you put on a uniform, and then you go ask people to buy your convincing uniform by way of treats, and then you come home and you lay out all your candy, and I love this. And it depends on how rich you are with how much candy you get.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you've got like a full can of pop or a full chocolate bar. I want to be the full chocolate bar household, okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Or the coloring pencils and fun erasers. That household I loved. And then
I never got that household.
we also had somebody. I grew up in a small town, and I went to like the next town over, which was just slightly larger than the small town that I grew up in. And somebody would give us loonies, and this was a long time ago.
It's a big
Like
deal.
30 years ago. I know. And she said,
Big deal.
I work in a dental office. I would much rather give you money than give you more candy. And I was like, how special.
Yeah.
You got a loony. And so then you lay out all your candy and you say things like, this is how the highest value of the things that you might say, those sorts of things. So I love a magical tradition. I love all of this. But surveillance happens so quickly with children and Elf on the Shelf
Oh, yeah.
that we are watching you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
That you better not misbehave.
Yeah.
And even I love a Sinterklaas, okay? I love Santa. My mom, when she was a kid, she punched somebody in the nose. She's hardcore. Like, somebody hoped that Santa wasn't real. And I literally was like, and she to this day is like, you don't believe, you don't receive. I'm like, I believe. I believe, okay? But surveillance, we're constantly under the microscope of what it is that we're doing and how we're behaving. And we've really lost, and for parents, like that's an extra burden. I also love the creativity that comes with Elf on a Shelf. So there's some, I'm born here.
Yeah.
There's some real at my brother and sister-in-law's house. I think there was at least 2. There might have been 3. There was 3 kids. Elves on shelves.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Wow.
It's a lot of work. And so not only have you created, it's this, in some ways, it's this magical moment. And like I said, women, have your magical moments. Please have them. But understand the dialogue that goes with them. Remove the dialogue of surveillance. And add in the dialogue of, this is how excited we get. When the elf arrives, this is how we celebrate the first few days or a month of the holidays. And then every day he gets to go back to, I don't know, Santa's workshop or whatever he does, or every day he's naughty and he plays tricks on us. Like, how fun is that? Remove the surveillance from it. Remove the surveillance. Remove the fact that we're just constantly under scrutiny.
Yeah.
That's a whole other. That's a long podcast after this.
Writing it down.
Next episode.
Join the 2025 series where it's just Ellie and Kyla.
It's so true. I feel like we could have like both of us publish the same one on our podcasts, that like in a supplementary episode every single week, just of us bantering about who knows what.
I'm super here for it. Absolutely.
Done.
Mindful of the time, and we're absolutely going to record again, probably quite soon. And so, with this current conversation, is there any last bits that feel fun, spicy, challenging, controversial?
Let me say this. I want to talk about something that is brewing in the background, if that's okay.
It's okay.
The strangely enough, the roar in the background for me is, I'm so passionate right now of teaching women how to bring more pleasure into their lives. Like, how can we, through color, through clothing, through makeup, through self-pleasure, and even how we pleasure ourselves, like, don't get me started, please get me started on the tools that we use and how the difference between like a crystal wand versus a like dolphin, let's say, like, or the rabbit. Like,
Rabbit.
I've never had a rabbit in my life. Maybe I'm just like, I'm being and maybe I'm being snarky because I've never had a rabbit, and if I had a rabbit, my tune would completely change.
I had a rabbit in my 20s, and I do not remember being a fan of it. It's like,
who besides me, who didn't have a rabbit in their 20s?
Yes, I would love that.
To go to, yes. Poll, please answer the poll over on
That's
Instagram.
the title of this podcast.
Who didn't have a rabbit?
Who didn't have a rabbit in their 20s?
And so, I love this. I'm putting together this program that is probably going to be about 6 weeks. This is super premature. Hardy har har. This is super premature, but it's like, it's here. It's right in front of me. Called Roar. And it's going to teach you all about pleasure. And I think the thing that is missing is that we as women have been taught to give our pleasure over to our partner. And it's their responsibility to know how to turn us on. It's their responsibility to know what buttons to push. It's their responsibility to know how to penetrate us. But actually, we are the receptors. We are the ones in our feminine energy that know all of those things and guide the direction. So this is what I feel most often what happens with, with hetero relationships, is that men get, can I say these words?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. I love a good clear whatever you're saying.
So man gets an erection, and then
I didn't even know what word you wanted to say. I'm like, yeah, okay. I thought you were worried about saying man, and I'm like, yeah, of course, yeah, you can talk about erections all day long.
Man gets an erection. That is what the escalade of engaging sexually with somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
So man gets an erection. All of a sudden, we're gonna have sex.
Yeah.
But actually, when we're in our feminine power, there are like many steps before that happen, especially for like really fucking good sex. I'm so passionate about this. Like, I want women to be having mind-blowing. Like, I want them to be, I remember when I was in my 20s, I'm glad you're sitting down for this. I dated a biological guy, and I was so in love with him.
I already knew that.
Yeah. And it only happened a couple of times. Then I realized, what am I doing here? And I remember a friend of mine saying to me, like, man, you have to get to know yourself. Like, I need to thank her. Joanne, shout out. You have to get to know yourself. You should take a whole day off. You should call in. So you've never called in sick to work and just pleasured yourself all day. And I literally was like, I'm a Scorpio. No. And I'm going to call in sick tomorrow, because I had not thought of that. Okay. And so I really want women to put pleasure, and not just like everyone's walking around like a ticking time bomb, but imagine if literally food, clothing, how you look, the things that you drink, the way that you rear your children, like literally everything was a turn on, that you become ravenous for your partner. And then yourself, you become ravenous for yourself, that you can barely wait You are going to explode. That is the concept of Roar. And
This.
coming soon to a television near you.
That's a great sales pitch. That is good. Yeah.
Ready? It's gonna be on for October. So
Okay.
by the time you're hearing this, come on over and find me, and let's do this.
This is amazing. Oh. Yep. Okay, we're gonna end it right there. That's so good.
This is like a period.
It's a
scene.
Yeah. Really fun note. This episode is going to be live on my mummy's birthday.
When's your mummy's birthday? Is it the same as mine?
October 13th.
Oh, it's not the same as mine, but a great day in October.
It's a great day.
Yeah. Excellent.
Great day.
Yeah, come find me for Roar on October 13th. Let's do a little launch day.
Absolutely. Okay, let's share, like, every link that needs to be shared will be in the show notes. Mm-hmm. Where's the best place to find you? Is it Instagram?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely Instagram. I tried TikTok for a little while, but really I just go in there to look at recipes.
Yeah, same. Mm-hmm.
I tried, people. I tried.
Yeah. I did too. And did you notice when you first started posting, you'd get a ton of views and then it would go down?
I literally just got shadow banned on Instagram. Like, somebody said to me, how come? Because I said sexually.
And meanwhile, there's like full boobies on Instagram. There's booties and everything.
Oh yeah. I'm just going to post some stock. I'm just going to get some photos taken of myself, actually. I'm going to do a boudoir, and I'm just going to to anytime I say something that puts me in jail, I'm going to come back out just by putting ass pictures up. Like,
do it.
Here's some laces, everybody. Come find me.
Next thing is you're going to be selling your sweaty socks.
I hope to be.
You know you've made it when.
Totally. Oh my gosh. Please come find me if you need a sweaty sock. I won't tell you whose feet they came off of, but that's the part of the intrigue.
Delicious. I feel like I need to clarify where the sweaty sock selling came from. Do we have time? I'm going to say it really, really quickly. So I was telling Ellie before we hit record, when I was deep in my fitness days and I was recording, YouTubes, and I was all over photo shoots and all over the place doing God knows what I was doing. I had this person message me, and they were yellow Asics. I remember that. They were bright yellow, like almost neon yellow Asics. They were pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this person messaged and offered to buy my shoes and my sweaty socks when I was done using them. And I, at the time, said no. I was in my 20s. And it's like coming back to this whole like reclamation of your power. Fuck it. I should have absolutely made money from his weird. You know what? I shouldn't say weird. That's not fair. It's his thing. I just don't know what he would. I don't know what he would do with it. It's none of my business. I should have done it. Now I'm like, oh, Kylie, you really could have had a side business there. Anyway.
I have one last thing to say. I actually have one last thing to say. When I was around that time, a friend of mine, her father, she was Jewish, which I feel like this is really important. No, let's cut that part out. But no, it's back in. It's really important. He used to own a comic book store, and he realized he wasn't making enough money on the comic book store. And I was like, what's he going to do? Is he going to turn it into some sort of like Jewish religious store? Because like I have no idea. Where's he gonna go from comics? Put it into a porn store.
He knows business.
It's
a huge business.
There was a woman, there was the daughter who was my friend, who would go hang out, drink coffee, eat snacks while she was at the porn shop. I wish I could remember this, what the name of it was. This guy would call in and he would say, hey, I'm looking for this magazine that I saw once or whatever, and can you read me what's on the title of the magazine? And so she'd be like reading the descriptors, and he would be like, no, not that one. And then finally she was like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, sneaky little bugger.
I know what you're doing.
There's hotlines for that. Call the hotline.
In our next episode, I'll tell you about my work with hotline, okay?
Stop it. Okay. All right. I'm going to send you a Calendly link right now. You're going to book in for next week.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
Thanks so much, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
I love you.
I love you too.
Bye.